Today we continue the amazing story of Abby Johnson. She was once the director of a Texas Planned Parenthood abortion facility. That is, until one particular abortion changed her life. Stay with us.
As the director of Planned Parenthood in Bryan, Texas, Abby Johnson had a strong pro-abortion position. She argued a fetus wasn't truly a living baby until viability, the ability for the baby to live outside of the womb.
For me, the issue of abortion was always about viability. And what I mean by that is I always thought, I never was comfortable with late-term abortions. The facility that I worked at did abortions up to 13 weeks and 6 days. The affiliate that I worked for in Houston, they did procedures up to 15 weeks and 6 days. So for me, I felt okay with that because a baby at that point is not viable outside of the womb, and that was the issue for me. If it's not viable outside of the womb, it's not a baby. It can't live on its own. It's dependent on the mother. And so that's where I was comfortable.
In her 8 years at Planned Parenthood, Abby had never participated in an actual abortion. She only took part in the counseling before women had the procedure. But Abby's heart and her position changed dramatically one fateful day when she took part in an early abortion procedure. It involved a suction abortion guided by ultrasound through the entire procedure. It was then that Abby's assistance was needed.
Most Planned Parenthood clinics and most large abortion facilities do not do ultrasound guided procedures because they take about 5 minutes longer. And in a abortion facility where you're trying to do anywhere between 30 and 40 abortion procedures a day, that extra 5 minutes could eat up some time. And so even though it's safer for the woman, they're not willing to give up that extra 5 minutes. So, but this doctor, the woman that he was doing this procedure on, was 13 weeks pregnant, and he had chosen to do her abortion through ultrasound guidance. And so he needed an extra set of hands, literally, to hold the ultrasound probe in place on her abdomen during the procedure. So they called me in to the room, and he told me what he needed me to do. So I held the ultrasound probe in place, and I looked up at the screen, and I saw a perfect profile of a 13-week-old baby. And I saw the baby from head to foot, and it wasn't moving or anything. And I think at that point I was actually thinking, this is going to be really interesting because this is the first time I've ever seen something like this. So I was thinking, this is going to be a really good learning experience for me because I've never seen an ultrasound an abortion performed this way. And so then I saw the cannula, and the cannula is the instrument that's hooked up to the suction machine. You can actually see that go into the uterus, and the suction's not on at this time. He's just trying to get the correct placement. The cannula started to poke the baby in the ribs, and then all of a sudden it was like the baby woke up and started moving its arms and legs and was trying to get away from the probe and was fighting to move away from that cannula. And then, I mean, just like somebody just slapped me, I just thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm about to watch this happen. And I mean, so many things were just going through my head. I mean, I really just wanted to sit this woman up and just say, you know, look at what is happening. I mean, you know, look at what is about to happen to your baby. It was kind of like, you know, people say it's like a train wreck, like you don't want to look, but you can't stop looking. That's what it was like for me. I did not want to see what was about to happen on the screen, but I couldn't stop looking.
So it went from a learning experience to witnessing a tragedy.
Yeah. I mean, I was horrified. And I was thinking about all of the women that I had lied to, the hundreds of women that had asked me. I mean, women ask so many questions before they go in for an abortion procedure, but one of the very common questions that I had received is, will my baby feel this? And my answer had always been no, absolutely not. That was the answer that I thought was true. That was the answer that Planned Parenthood had told me was true. And I knew that I had been lying for all of those years. And I was just thinking, what if they had known the truth? Would they have still made that choice? I saw the baby's body. When they do an abortion, they take the cannula and they literally they twist the cannula around in the woman's uterus, and I saw the baby's body just begin to twist in the uterus. And the last thing that I saw before the uterus was empty was, babies in the uterus, they have a perfectly formed little backbone, and you can see it in the uterus. And that was the last thing I saw on the screen before, the uterus was black. But it was at that moment that I just thought, never again.
So your life changed instantaneously at that point?
Yeah, that was it. And I thought, I don't know why I was in here. I don't know why it's taken me, basically 8 years for my eyes to be opened and for me to see the truth. But I was in here for a reason, and I saw that for a reason.
When we return, we'll hear how Abby's changed heart led her to find comfort and purpose in the pro-life movement.
Whether you're a student needing answers, a parent needing help, or a concerned citizen wanting to make a difference, Life Issues Institute has the resources you need to put your values into action. Life Issues Institute is an international educational organization committed to protecting innocent human life. Life Issues Institute knows what it takes. That's why millions throughout the world turn here for help. Life Issues Institute has authored more pro-life publications than any other entity in the world, and its materials are printed in over 30 languages. Radio broadcasts, newsletters, and a website filled to the brim with the answers you're looking for are just a click away. Go to facinglife.tv and click on the link to Life Issues Institute to find out more about how you can change the heart of a nation.
After witnessing the tragedy of abortion, Abby knew she could no longer participate in the killing of unborn babies. Abby returned to Planned Parenthood with the hopes of finding a new job and quitting before more abortions could be performed under her supervision. Little did she know she would end up running into the arms of a pro-life group that had been her opposition for the past 8 years.
At the facility that I worked at, we only did surgical abortions every other week. And so I thought it was reasonable for me to say that I would have another job in 2 weeks. So I went back to work that Monday. I was just hating my job. I was hating being there, but I thought I've got to stick it out, for 2 weeks. I can't quit until I have another job. So the first week went by. It was pretty uneventful. Weekend came and went. That second Monday, that was October 5th, I was sitting in my office. I felt like there was just this clock ticking in my head because I thought, it's Monday, we're going to be doing abortion Saturday. I don't have a job. I don't even have any interviews lined up. I don't know what's going to happen. And I was watching these women come in and out, and I was just thinking, I'm still participating in it. I'm still here. And I was crying, and I was just thinking, I've got to get out of here, but I don't know where I would go. I don't know what I would do. And I looked out the window, and we were right in the middle of a 40 Days for Life campaign. And I saw these two women outside praying. And it was like God was basically shouting at me just to go to them. And I thought, really? Okay. So I did. So I went, I got in my car. It was around lunchtime. I got in my car. Their actual facility, the Pro-Life Resource Center, is actually only about 2 houses down. I could have walked, but that would have looked suspicious. So I got in my car, I drove down there, and I parked in the back of their facility, and I called them. And, you know, of course, they all know who I am. I know them. So they came and let me in, and totally embraced me. And that was on the 5th, and I went home. I went back to work that day, and had just kind of made up my mind that that was it. I went home that day and told my husband, I really don't want to go back. And so we prayed about it that night, and both really just felt like we needed to take that step of faith, and that we really knew that God would provide for us if I left. And so I went back on the 6th and packed up my stuff, and I put in my resignation. I'll never forget the way I felt. I felt like I was almost floating, because I felt like something had been lifted off of me that was so heavy. I mean, it was a physical feeling of being unburdened. And it was a feeling of peace and joy that I had not felt in years. Because I felt very heavy, you know, very heavy-hearted for so long.
So there's no second guessing?
No, not at all. I don't have that internal struggle anymore.
In a moment, we'll hear how peaceful, prayerful vigils are impacting abortion-minded women.
Thank you for inviting us into your home. Each week we feature real people who deal with real-life issues head-on. Some of their experiences are uplifting, while others will break your heart. But in the end, the message is clear. Those who follow biblical principles on the issues of life are blessed. Become a partner with us in providing a positive, life-affirming message to help change the way the next generation values innocent human life. Please consider a generous gift to help offset the costs of producing this important quality programming. You can donate on our secure website at facinglife.tv or by calling the phone number on your screen during normal business hours. Together, we can make a real difference for life.
A prayerful presence outside of Planned Parenthood in Bryan, Texas, moved Abby Johnson to leave the abortion industry and become a part of the pro-life movement. Jenny Hutchinson is the coordinator for the 40 Days for Life campaign in Louisville, Kentucky. Over the course of a month, people from the community gather at a local abortion mill to pray for an end to abortion. Their presence serves as a witness to the staff and women entering the facility. They also bring sidewalk counselors who offer alternative options for women contemplating abortion.
There's power in the presence there. When I go down to pray. I go down to pray for the sidewalk counselors. I go down to pray for the women that are going in. I'm even praying for as many of us are, for the abortionist and the staff. There are just people that believe really, really strongly in prayer. And we like to say we don't know the miracles that God has in store for us, but we know they're out there. And we feel that our call is just to be faithful. So we show up and we just pray. We want them to choose life. We have talked to so many post-abortive women who've shared unbelievably tragic stories with us. And you know, we hear a lot from them, you can't possibly know what I'm going through. You can't possibly say that you care about me. And a lot of times they sneer at us and they sneer at the message. But we want them to know that this abortion that they're contemplating is a very permanent solution to a very temporary problem. And there is so much help in our community, and I'm sure in communities across the country.
Well, tell me a little bit about the women that you've been able to impact, those who have come for abortions and changed their minds.
We've had so many beautiful stories. We actually involve the high schools and the grade schools. And one morning we had a group of students from Sacred Heart Academy out front. And we had 2 women that morning come out to choose life. And the sidewalk counselor that was there kind of followed one of them down the sidewalk, and she asked, she said, "Honey, did you change your mind?" And she said, "Yes, ma'am, I did." And Donna said, "Well, can you tell me what changed your mind?" And she turned around and pointed right to those girls, and she said, "They did." We had a woman come across the street and just tell the group of people that were praying there, she said, "I want to tell you that it matters that somebody's here." She said that 19 years ago, she was pregnant and she was going to have an abortion, and she said, "I was here, I came, and there was one person standing here praying." And she said, "I want you to know that my son is 19 years old. He's a freshman at U of L." She said, "I want you to know it matters."
Ray Loebker has been picketing outside of abortion mills in Cincinnati, Ohio for the past 30 years. 4 days a week, Ray posts signs outside of the facility and offers literature and counseling options to the women contemplating abortion. Like Jenny, Ray's found a peaceful and compassionate presence outside of the mill is more likely to change the hearts and minds of abortion-minded women.
You never know what's going to be effective, what's going to be, what's going to be helpful. But yeah, to witness to the community at large, to the abortionists themselves, and basically to try, and to the young girls going in, or anybody that's going in and out of there, how awful this is and where they can get help. Some of the picketers over the years, they were saying, "We're never going to go away, we're going to," and they like to yell and shout and stuff like that. They got to tone it down a little bit. And when a woman was coming into the abortion chamber, one of the problems with picketing when we had a whole bunch of people was they all wanted to get their 2 cents worth in. You had your evangelist, you had, but everybody was talking at her all at once. What you do is you have one person talking to her. The rest of us pray, okay? One counselor and the rest pray, and that works.
And the approach should be gentle and loving versus...
Yes, of course, yes. That's what we see is the most effective, because, like we were talking about before, you want to change minds and hearts, and that's ideal.
When I first started volunteering at the clinic, it was different than it is now. There would be people out there that would be very confrontational with the staff members at the clinic. They would be confrontational with the women that would come into the clinic. About 5 years ago, we started to see a change in the people that were out there. We started to see more of a compassionate movement out in front of the clinic. Now the volunteers were suddenly saying, we're praying for you. We're praying for you by name. And the staff members didn't know what to think about that. And that, in a way, made them feel uncomfortable, particularly the ones that were churchgoers, the ones that did consider themselves to be Christians. It made us feel uncomfortable. And, we thought, I don't want you praying for me because, that makes me feel weird, and I'm not sure I'm supposed to be doing this. And, it kind of made you question what you were doing there.
If hearts and minds are going to be changed, it's not because people are out there throwing stones at one another. I think it's through kindness and love that people change their minds about something.
Coming up, we'll hear Abby's advice for women considering abortion.
Whether you're a student needing answers, a parent needing help, or a concerned citizen wanting to make a difference, Life Issues Institute has the resources you need to put your values into action. Life Issues Institute is an international educational organization committed to protecting innocent human life. Life Issues Institute knows what it takes. That's why millions throughout the world turn here for help. Life Issues Institute has authored more pro-life publications than any other entity in the world, and its materials are printed in over 30 languages. Radio broadcasts, newsletters, and a website filled to the brim with the answers you're looking for are just a click away. Go to facinglife.tv and click on the link to Life Issues Institute to find out more about how you can change the heart of a nation.
Since leaving Planned Parenthood, Abby Johnson has joined the pro-life group Coalition for Life. She now participates in praying outside of the abortion mill where she worked. In addition, Abby will spend the next year traveling and sharing her life-changing story with pregnancy centers and right-to-life groups across the country. She wants to better equip pro-life groups to become more effective at reaching women who are considering abortion.
Now, what's your advice to pro-lifers who want to reach women going in for an abortion?
There is no room for any anger, any hostility out there on that sidewalk in front of the abortion clinic. The women going in there, the clinic workers going in there, they are broken. They need healing. You know, being there and showing them that we do care about them, that we do respect them, and that we may not respect their decision, and we may not like the sin, but we love the sinner. That really needs to be the message that we're giving to these men and women.
I don't look at it as a task. I look at it as an opportunity to be a blessing. It does take kind of a leap of faith to do it and to think that it matters.